Welcome to Sportsline, brought to you by Ace Hardware, New Kensington, AKLC Studios in Leechburg, Arnold Furniture, 5th Avenue, Buffalo Bills, New Kensington, Fazio's Deli and Meats in Arnold, Highland Tire, Toronto and Natrona Heights, Mattio's Pizza and Subs, Brackenridge Heights, Resevich Family Funeral Homes, Lower Burl and Arnold, 380 Discount Warehouse, Murraysville, Tower Auto in Blawnox, and Westmoreland Insurance Services of New Kensington.
Tonight, Monday night it is, Thursday night if you're watching on Comcast, Monday night if you're watching on streaming. We got to get these things settled. Mike Pavlik here, George Gatto's along tonight, sitting in Bob's chair. Bob is off tonight. George is playing hurt tonight, so be gentle with him. George was, you were in Minneapolis for the Little League convention. You got to see the Twins home opener, right?
See the Twins opener.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
You picked up something there while you were there, either in the airplane or wherever. So,
but it was a great stadium, very, very nice place to watch a ball game.
And how are the prices and everything there with it?
I'll tell you what, the seats that along the third base side toward the upper part of the lower bowl, where I sit for the Pirate games, the Twins seats were like twice as much. I think for the Pirate games it was something like $25, and for the Twins games it was something like $48, the same position. So sometimes people in Pittsburgh don't realize that we have some nice bargains on tickets.
Now, the weather wasn't, for the game itself last Monday, the weather was nice.
Right,
it was
it's
sunny,
up in the 50s.
Crisp in the 50s, but I'm going to guess when you got there was snow on the ground.
There was 9 to 10 inches the night before we got there. And boy, did that discourage a lot of people, especially from places where you don't associate Little League, such as Aruba and Mexico and other places like that. They're certainly not used to that sort of thing. But after a couple of days in the 50s, that all disappeared.
Now, that was my other question. What possessed them to pick Minneapolis? Is it just a good place to have it? I'm going to guess that the cities obviously pitch these things to the organization,
and whoever makes the best pitch.
In other words, whoever makes the cheapest is how this is going to work, right?
The last one was in Lexington, Kentucky. Not exactly the
I'd rather go to
thriving metropolis of the world.
I want to go to Lexington, Kentucky on the first Saturday in May.
The one before that was in Virginia Beach, which was a pretty nice convention.
That's nice, yeah, that's good.
And then the one before that was in Ottawa.
Oh, okay, so it's two relatively, okay, so you get a decent place, an place, and a cold place, and you kind of, Aruba, I think, should be the next one.
Aruba, I'm very much in favor of that. I'd like to, the San Diego was the buzz going through the hotel lobby.
You wouldn't want to have it anywhere else if you have it there, I understand. I've never been to San Diego. But
I haven't either, but I'd like to find an excuse to go out there.
Absolutely gorgeous, and if you get really lucky, the Padres Stadium is supposedly very nice too.
Yes,
so.
And one thing about the Minnesota Stadium I noticed, right across from there is Target Arena where the Timberwolves play. So it's kind of like Cleveland's setup where Jacobs Field is right across from the Gund Arena. Now, last Friday night, the Twins had a home game and the Timberwolves had a home game. So I can imagine what the train drives you right up to the right field porch. I mean, right up to there. You walk, you take 10 steps and you're inside the stadium.
That's excellent.
Yeah, it really is.
But that's the one thing they messed up with the subway on the north side, is that it is very convenient for Heinz Field, but it's not very convenient to the...
No,
it puts you about halfway in between both of them when it puts you off on that north side, not the one that takes you all the way in to Heinz Field. But so but I'll tell you what, I made a lot of comments about that thing. But when it's a bad day, that's a good thing to get you. If you park downtown, it's a smart way to go.
It really is. But in downtown Minnesota, there's a big, gigantic hole where the Metrodome used to be. They're building a new stadium for the Vikings.
For the Vikings, right? And the Vikings are going to play in the University of Minnesota.
Right, for the next 2 years.
Right?
So you would not believe the area that this place is going to take up. I mean, it is gigantic.
Now, is that going to be a dome also, I'm assuming?
I understand it's going to be a removable roof.
Oh, it's going to be
back and forth roof,
so
like Seattle or Milwaukee
obviously,
has.
Bud Grant is upset because he wants it to be outside.
Yes,
So that's That would probably be that. All right, we have rules and regulations for all you good folks out there that want to give us a call. 724-236-0430 is our number if you're watching on a Monday night. Again, if you're watching on a Thursday, jot that down and call us Monday between 6 and 7.
I'd love to hear from you.
You can get in. You can win a prize once every other week on a regular trivia question. You can win your salami prize or the mystery profile prize once per calendar month. And remember, on the mystery profile, you can try that only one time per calendar month. That's why Paul can't try that this month anymore, because he already did that and won last week. Multiple choice is 15 seconds, grand salami is 20, and the profile goes clue by clue. And we'll give you a little bit of time for that. First-time callers will be awarded 2 prizes with a correct answer, and anyone that hasn't called in a year's time, we reinstate your first-time caller status, and you'll be able to be eligible for that. DoubleDribbleBob.com, of course, where you can find answers, Bob's sports stories, and a link to this year's show. You can just click right on that, and it'll put you right through. And Bob's radio show, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. on WAVL. That's 910 on your AM dial. 724-236-0430 is the number.
All right.
So we do have a call. So we'll get to that. I believe Tony's up there and ready to go. We have a special visitor in town from Fairfax, Virginia. So we'll get to him in his Steeler Bumblebee jersey at some point this evening. And I've got a feeling that hockey might be on the docket there. So. The playoffs are coming, kids. The Penguins are playing the old CBJ starting on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of trepidation going into the playoffs. As I said, the 82 exhibition games are over, and now let the angst begin.
Yes, absolutely, especially with the Penguins. You know, and I could see if the Penguins don't sweep the first 2 games in Pittsburgh, the long knives, I think, will be coming out, especially if Fleury has a bad game. You know, the thing I'm surprised about, we talked it on the way in, they still have tickets for Wednesday night's game.
Yes, they do, and if you're interested, I guess you can go to the website and take a look. Now, I don't know what it looks like for Saturday. I would imagine that those probably went, because that was either going to be Friday or Saturday, supposedly, so those may have gone faster, but the tickets are expensive, and there's not exactly a buzz about this right now. There really isn't. It's about as dead as it can possibly be.
Want to see what happens, yeah.
And, you know, they need something to re-excite the fan base here. This is a team, remember, that went all the way to the conference finals last year, and it's looked at as a failure.
Right, and you got that feeling, even though they went to the conference finals, that
just wasn't
boy,
right.
you just wanted a little more, especially the way they played against Boston, 2 goals in 4 games.
Right,
You know.
you just didn't get the good vibe about the whole thing, so we'll see. Well, we're going to take a break. Tony's going to lead us off when we come back from that break, and we will do that and be back and kick things off right after this.
This is where you get the absolute freshest deli meats and cheeses. Fazio's Italian Deli in Arnold. At Fazio's, you're getting only the best and freshest selection. Fazio's has its own bakery and offers you fresh baked bread, rolls, pastries, and more. Pick up individual salads to go, Italian sausages, hoagies, custom-made sandwiches, even party trays for your next get-together. Freshness and quality every time at Fazio's Italian Deli, Leishman and Dre in Arnold.
There once was a hungry road that wouldn't let drivers get very far. It wore out their tires, forcing them to buy new ones. Then along came the Michelin Man, who proved the right tire changes everything. With long-lasting tires in place, those drivers were back on the road to saving money. Drive longer with the Michelin Defender tire, backed by a 90,000-mile limited warranty. Michelin, a better way forward.
Available at Highland Tire under the bridge in Tarentum and Freeport Road, Natrona Heights. Westmoreland Insurance Services isn't like your ordinary insurance agency. Not only can you get a variety of quotes from leading insurance companies, but you can purchase that protection through Westmoreland Insurance. Westmoreland provides a full range of coverage for all of your automobile needs. Westmoreland Insurance Services, putting your family's safety in their family's hands for almost 40 years. Give them a call, 724-337-3557.
Tower Auto Sales, 3 indoor showrooms, full service facility with experienced staff. Mike Fanto takes care of that. All makes and models are available, featuring Lexus products. That's Tower Auto Sales. Just buy it, 412-828-6202. Tell Mike you heard about the operation there on Sportsline. He'll be happy to hear that. So we have a caller on the line again, 724-236-0430. We have a line open for you if you'd like to get in right now, if you're watching streaming on a Monday night. Again, if you're watching on a Thursday, jot the number down. Call us on Monday. Write it down on your wrist in ink, as Uncle Dougie used to say. We'll go with that. So Tony is ready to go. Let's go to Tony in L.A. Good evening, sir.
Hi, guys. How are you?
We're excellent. How about
right.
you?
All right. Welcome back, George.
Thank you very much.
Remember last year during the regular season, we beat Boston 4 straight?
Well, I'm having all kind of trouble with you right now, Tony, in the earpiece here. I actually can't hear you at all. Try it again.
All right. You hear me? Hello?
Nah, I can't hear anything. George, what do you got?
No, same thing.
Yeah, it's
same
muffled.
thing. It's
Maybe if you guys if you flip the speaker back on, we might have a better shot with that. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I've got nothing.
Earth? Nothing?
That's
no,
better.
we're
Keep
okay.
going.
Yeah.
I could hear you good.
Go ahead.
I could hear you good.
There we go.
Okay?
Yes. Proceed.
All right. I said, you remember last year during the regular season, we beat Boston 4 straight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, don't get excited, about us just playing Columbus, because you never know what this team's going to do.
Yeah.
Well,
They're a scrappy team.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're playing well too. And the thing about the wild card teams now in the new setup is that those two teams that get in as a wild card, you have to be playing relatively well just to get in to pass up the other teams to make it. So that's one thing to look at. The way I looked at it was this: is that Columbus is going to try to do in the next 7 games something they haven't been able to do in their history, and that's beat the Penguins 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Well, you never know.
You
This.
do never
That's
know.
the thing about the playoffs, man.
It's a whole
I mean,
new
it shouldn't
dynamic.
happen, but with this team, flip a coin. Your goalie's he's up and down like a yo-yo, and so he has to play like he did when he beat Detroit for the Stanley Cup. But it seemed like that was the last best series that he played.
Well, you got to remember he was really up and down in that series too. He got yanked out of Game 5 in Detroit even before they came back here for Game 6. So
But he still won it.
he did.
Yeah, that's
And
the
he,
bottom line.
They raised the cup, they put the rings on, and that's what counts.
that's
Bottom
what
line.
matters. My last, fairly or unfairly, my 2 lasting memories of him both come in that building at Joe Louis Arena. One was making the save on Lidstrom on the final shot that actually won them the Stanley Cup.
Right.
The other was the year previous, coming out of the gate the first night and tripping and falling.
He won.
And really, you can't separate the two.
No.
He's that way.
No, that's cemented into your mind. So, all right, let's get off of them now. Good luck to them.
I got to ask you what you think of the announcement by the Golden Domers the other day. They were going to put AstroTurf in.
Well, they were supposed to put it in
Stadium.
last year, and there was such a fuss over it that they decided not to. But it's come down to it that that's been there forever. So it's time. And they practice on that. The AstroTurf.
I think the Steelers should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's ridiculous what's going on down there at Pittsburgh. But see, when they put that in down here, that was guaranteed. Guaranteed. With the system they had put in, with the heating system and everything for the winter, it was supposed to trick the grass. Like it was summer and grow nice and doing, but nothing worked.
Well, you see, what you have to remember is that it still becomes December in Pittsburgh every year.
Yeah.
And I don't know what your yards looks like, but it's finally starting to grow. Mine is. And
Oh yeah. Well, the first thing that grows is weeds.
Right, the crabgrass will come. That's what.
Right. Yeah. You can be sure of that.
Right, but I think it sounds with the Notre Dame thing. It sounds like a Brian Kelly decision to me.
Right, because of the pace of their offense.
He wants to go fast. He wants to get fast guys, and really the grass will slow you down. And bringing that toward Pittsburgh again, it always killed me that their defense is predicated on speed rushers or their outside linebackers with speed rushers getting to the quarterback, and you're playing in a quagmire. They can't get there.
All right.
I don't know what game it was last year. It was, I think, toward the middle of the season, where the field was a quagmire, and Notre Dame really could never get going, and it was to their own detriment, even though they were on their home field.
Well, see, the advantage of playing there all that time was to get a team like Southern Cal come in had a lot of speed. The grass was up around their ankles. for the game.
Tony Dorsey had that once, too. Yeah.
And so that was the advantage. But you know what? It would have to drive a coach crazy that you practice on artificial turf, and then you play your games on regular grass. Well, you're looking at this running back, wide receiver running so fast on this artificial turf during practice, and then when he gets to the stadium and starts running on grass, he looks like, he's dragging a wagon behind him or something. And, the Steelers do the same thing. They practice artificial turf.
Sure.
Yeah.
Same thing. So, I don't know. I think if you win a dome stadium, you got to do like they did in Arizona. That is one of the craziest things I ever seen.
The cookie sheet.
Yeah. It slides out and it slides in.
Yeah.
They after the game they put it outside. It gets all the rain, all the sun, everything. And then when it's game time, it just rolls back in,
It's amazing. When they built the Astrodome, they thought they could grow the grass inside just
by
leaving the glass panels in the top.
Right. Well, that didn't work. It went over like a lead balloon.
And even to this day, a lot of the retractable domes, they still have trouble inside.
Well, sure.
They're looking at Milwaukee. There's a spot already worn in right field. And I think Ryan Braun just stands in the same place, probably. He's probably worn out already.
Probably.
But,
and, all right, now let's go with these Pirates.
I knew I was waiting for this part.
Too many weak bats in the lineup and absolutely nothing on the bench. Just pitiful. When those guys come up to pinch hit, I got my barf bag right next to my chair, and it's just pitiful. I mean, the other day, what's his name, Ichiar Suzu, whatever he is, he doubles off the wall. And he was just barely making it into second base. I think he loafed all the way around there. He should have been standing on third. So he's at second base, and the first thing you do as a base runner, and all you boys out there and girls who play, is check where the outfield is playing. Number one, so you could take that extra base, if the ball's hit there. But he didn't. He stood there, and there was a looper into center field, and he hesitated and only made it to third. And then, next thing I know, Gabby Hayes Sanchez is pitch hitting for him. You remember that part?
Right.
Yeah. And what'd he do? Well, let's see. He swung at a pitch 4 foot over his head. Then he struck out on one 5 foot over his head. Oh, my God.
And
Come
Josh
on.
Harrison strikes out as a pinch hitter on all types of pitchers.
Oh,
And
my
what kills
God.
me is
And who are you going to bring up? Tabitha? No bat
That's
Tabitha?
boy.
I mean,
The thing that kills me is that when they play against a right-handed pitcher and they have their left-handed batters in the lineup, they don't have one left-handed bat on their bench.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
All five
they're
men swing right-handed.
and
it makes it so easy on the other team, especially for the other team's manager when it comes to deciding what he's going to do with his bullpen. There's no decision. He has one left-hander in the bullpen to get Pedro out. Every team has this.
Yes.
That's what they pointed Pedro, and that's their guy. And then if a right-hander has to pitch to Ishikawa or somebody like that, they don't care.
yeah, I mean it's ridiculous. And now a Locke, I guess, is ready to come up. They said, but there's no room for him.
Yeah.
How can there not be room for him?
Because the great Travis Snyder's blocking him, right?
Well, I don't know. So,
all
Ariano now, he doesn't have a win yet. And it isn't that he hasn't been pitching good. The pitching hasn't been bad. It's been pretty good. But they can't hit. I mean, it's ridiculous. And they're dumb as rocks. Look at the other night when you two guys, would you please with your thumb and finger grab your nose? You got it? Mm-hmm. Say this with me. MVPU. When he comes up, and he popped up behind the plate. All right? Ichikawa, he tagged up. No, it was Travis
Snyder.
Travis Snyder. And then who's on third base?
It was Marte.
Right. He goes back, he tags up. So does Snyder. Snyder takes off, which was smart. He stands on third base instead of breaking down the line just a little bit. Maybe draw a throw or maybe hesitate to catch her. No. He stands on a bag, the throw is made, then he decides to take off for home.
Yeah, he has a lot of talent, but he's a really bad base runner.
Well, the thing that killed me about that, I thought there were two things wrong with it. First of all, like you said, the execution was terrible by Marte. Snyder did it right. I know
he did it right.
Trying to do. And Tony, anybody that's coached has had this play. It's not like this is a new play. We all know this play. I mean, this.
But the Pirates tried to make it like
the Pirates tried to make it
that.
like they invented it. And the second part was that they decided to do it with Pedro on deck, and that's not exactly the smartest time to pull it off.
No.
I mean,
I understand that too, right.
And like the bottom of the order's coming up and you want to try to pull that off for the pitcher, then I don't have a problem with it. But when Pedro's coming up next, I'm not exactly with it at that
But
point.
if they would have done it right, he would have scored easily.
Well, it's
With his
almost
feet.
foolproof if it's done properly. And it,
Right,
but I heard somebody on
they're
the
like the
radio
box of rocks down there. You know, I'm telling you, running the base and can't. But no, it's just amazing. This is the major leagues, you know, and I don't know. You know what? A lot of this last year, as good as they did play, you know, cost them games and cost them probably going to the World Series. You know, just dumb moves, not hitting, not sacrificing, not you know. The only guy we had to do that was Bird, and he's long gone. And I think he's doing well wherever he went. So
Phillies.
Yeah.
Yep. So we got nothing. You know, we got less. And I remember when we went to the playoffs, and the owner said, "Oh, we ain't stopping here, baby. You know, oh, we got a lot of things to do for next year." Well, yeah, they did. Cha-ching. They pocketed the money and said, "The heck with you, fans."
Exactly.
So it could be worse. I told everybody before the season it could be worse than next year because a lot of those guys had, you know, career seasons last year.
Yeah,
and I hope they keep having them, but it doesn't look like it. Now, I'm happy with Pedro, but I noticed one thing about him. When he struck out a lot and wasn't popping up a lot, grounding out, every time he tried to pull every pitch, he was stepping in a bucket. I think the batting coach finally got to him because I've been watching when he hits the home runs. If he steps towards the pitcher, it's gone. Believe it. I mean, even an outside pitch, he could he could hit the left field. But when he puts that foot in that bucket and tries to pull outside pitches, his body's going north and the pitch is going south. That's bad. That's bad chemistry. All right, but watch him every time he bats and see if he steps towards that pitcher. Not twice he did it yesterday, and he hit them both bullets. You know, them bombs.
Yeah, that one.
Luckily, they were right at somebody. You know, the one guy made a nice catch in center field, and the other guy in the right field was right at him. But both times he stepped like towards the pitcher. You know, you have to go with the pitch. So that's things you should have learned in Little League maybe or whatever. But
yeah, you wonder what they were being taught at these points. I know in our Little League we learned that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm just about out of material.
All right, how about a trivia question?
Grind the salon.
All right.
I don't know. Let's go with 5.
5? Okay. Here we go. Tony, who was the first Pittsburgh Pirate to hit a grand slam on opening day?
The first Pittsburgh Pirate to hit a grand slam on my own. That's a good one. First Pittsburgh Pirate. Oh my. Jeez. You got me there, buddy. How about I don't know. Mazeroski.
Not a bad guess. A teammate of Mazeroski's.
You're close.
The great one, Roberto Clemente.
Clemente. I should have known that.
Jim
Okay.
Owens of the Phillies.
Roberto Clemente. All right. No problem.
All right, Tony.
Gentlemen, have a great evening. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
Thanks,
All right.
Tony.
Take care.
All right, let's get out of here for a minute.
Okay, yeah.
Let's do that. We have great sponsors waiting to tell you about their products. So let's do that right now. We'll be back. We have room for you at 724-236-0430. If you'd like to give us a call, we have a line open. So why don't you do that right now? We'll take a break, and we'll be right back.
Since 1914, the local area has relied on the Resevich family of funeral homes in deepest times of need. The Resevich family is the oldest established name in the funeral profession in the AK Valley, now 100 years strong and still doing things right. Its reputation and unquestionable service now continues with a 4th generation. The Resevich family of funeral homes, 5th Avenue Arnold and Leechburg Road in Lower Borough.
AKLC Studios LLC is the place for your video and multimedia needs. Let AKLC Studios produce a unique television commercial for your business. At your location or in our studios, we're here to meet your needs. Ever want your own television show? Let us show you how. AKLC Studios LLC can even tape your special events and weddings. Whatever your multimedia need, call AKLC Studios LLC in Leechburg today. Professional quality at hometown prices. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
380 Auction and Discount Warehouse, Route 380, Murraysville.
Automotive supplies, groceries, housewares, pet supplies.
All at discount prices.
Sofas, dining tables, recliners, dressers and desks, lamps and end tables.
All at discount prices.
Yard and landscaping supplies, special catalog orders, mattresses with full warranties.
All at discount prices.
School supplies, tools, paint, toiletries, model cars, toys.
All at discount prices. Get to 380 Auction and Discount Warehouse today, Route 380, Murraysville.
And don't forget about my book, Ali Kiski Sports History, 1995. It's available at Costello's Printing in Tarentum and also online at wordassociation.com. Pick yours up. You know, graduation season's coming up pretty soon. You can buy one of these for your favorite grad. Ali Kiski Sports History, available at Costello's in Tarentum and online at wordassociation.com. Mike?
All right, we have John in the audience. John from Springdale via Erie through Reston, Virginia, or Fairfax, or one of these places down there. I don't know. John, how are you?
I'm good. I feel like I'm in a congressional hearing. Is this thing on?
I was going to say, I was in the olive oil business with his father. And, yeah, exactly. But I don't know anything about no family senator. Okay.
Yeah, so no, it's great, and I'll tell you what, it's good to wear this thing in Pittsburgh and people know what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a jersey day at the school I work at, and the yearbook staff was coming up to take pictures because, like, what is he doing wearing this thing? I'm like, no, it's a Steelers jersey.
It's a jersey.
Do they wear that often? Is that a throw? Yes, it's a throwback, but it's their current. They played the Redskins and the Ravens in it. You've never seen this before.
Yeah, I was going to say they did wear it against the Skins last year when the Skins came up here. Exactly.
So no one has any idea.
They were all focused on RG3's knee, making sure everything was okay with that.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing down there. The number one team is, of course, the Redskins, and the number two team is the Dallas Cowboys. Wow. I see more Cowboys jerseys than I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. It would be like walking around here and seeing Browns jerseys all over the place, which that's a good way to get your butt kicked.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, I can tell you once I went down to Permandy's down in the Strip, and I was wearing a Sean Alexander Seahawks jersey. Someone we beat in the Super Bowl once, and that was an issue. So down in Washington, there is no such thing. It's good to have that solidarity. Speaking of that solidarity, that's my entire problem with
yours.
With the Pittsburgh Penguins, and when will we finally get rid of Dan Bylsma? When will those chicks come to roost? Because clearly, I think he is the reason why the team is not playing with the pep it should be. Everybody, so watching the game, and I try not to watch on Pravda Pittsburgh, or as they call it here, Root Sports.
I mute it.
I wish that's the whole reason I got NHL Center Ice, so I can watch the other team's broadcast. It's a beautiful thing. But the Penguins play like they don't care. And I flipped the Blue Jackets games a lot because they're cheap tickets. I love going out there. They've been my number 2 team for a while. And they play like they care every single shift. Doesn't matter if they're playing well or not. They have that drive. They have that heart, which the Penguins just don't look like they have. And I said last year that Bylsma lost the room. And people have said I'm wrong, but talent alone has got us through this. And look where they are. We had how big of a lead on the Eastern Conference that we couldn't maintain. Right. We don't look, against numerous teams, we look like we don't care. We've lost games that we had no business in losing for no good reason. And I realize how I'm the first one to complain when people aren't appreciative of the team that we have, that we have the best roster on paper than I think many teams have had in history. But we're seeing no results. Without multiple cup victories, which this team needs to have, 2009 feels like decades ago.
It does. It feels like it was so long ago.
And that's just it. We just don't seem to have that. So I guess what it comes down to is, what are your thoughts on the Penguins Blue Jackets series? What's your bracket looking like now that the NHL has a bracket?
Yes.
And what do you expect to see?
Well, first of all, I'll say this, and I'll turn it over to George. And that is that I think since 2008, this is the least talented roster they've had this year. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind about that. This is the least talented roster they've had, is the roster that they have for this year. So we'll start there.
It's tough to go against Boston in the East. In the West, I think that's kind of up for grabs. A few weeks ago, I thought, well, St. Louis, this could finally be their year after 40-some years. But now, they've fallen off. And Anaheim could be a victim of a first-round upset, even though they're the number 1 seed. So that West now is all of a sudden, Mike, out of nowhere, that's become somebody like the Dallas Stars could sneak through.
Dallas is playing well, and if you just look at if you remove the records and remove how they got in, and just look at the teams and look at the players that they have and watch how they play. Dallas would worry me if I was Anaheim right now. Matter of fact, I have Anaheim winning that, but I made it go 7. I really think it's a 7-game series. And then the other thing is with Anaheim, Bruce Boudreau hasn't exactly won anything yet.
No.
And I think he's a good coach, and I think he's done a good job out there. But and I think Lindy Ruff is a very good coach. You talked about the Blues. Well, there's one small problem they have. They went and got a goalie when they didn't need to.
They didn't need one, yeah.
And especially the one that they got, who was probably the most overrated player in the history of the league, Ryan Miller, who's won a great count 'em. That's how many playoff series Ryan Miller's won. That would be 2. Okay. Now they went and those were in the same year. So they went out and they got Ryan Miller. And by the way, their fall exactly coincides with Ryan Miller coming to St. Louis. Absolutely. Now they've also gotten injured, so I'm not going to. They have guys hurt, and I was watching the game yesterday, and they seem to have some issues with that. So I think the Hawks will beat them. I think the Hawks will definitely beat St. Louis. And even though the Hawks have been hurt too, but they have a lot to call back on Chicago. And here's the thing, John, and I want to get right to what you said, and that is that the Penguins look like they are not playing with any enthusiasm or anything like that. And you're 100% right. I don't think any of these teams have since they've come back from the Olympics. I think when these teams shut it down for the Olympics, they shut it down. Yeah. And I think that's just about everybody. I think the only teams that really played here in the past X amount of weeks since they've come back from Sochi are the teams that needed to win to get into the playoffs.
Like Detroit.
If you look at everybody's record the last 10 games, even the teams that have done well are 5-3-2 or something like that. But I mean, I've never seen more guys sat out of lineups than I've seen here recently. All teams. So I don't know what to make of it. And here's the thing with the Penguins. And the thing about Dan Bilesma teams that you've been able to say up until now are that you will get, with a very rare exception, that they put out every night. And they play hard every night. And they bring their lunch boxes and they play every night. Well, this year that hasn't been the case. There have been too many nights off. And you wonder if all the talk about the only thing that matters is the playoffs is seeped into their heads. And now it's like, okay, now it's time for the playoffs, and now we'll play. Well, you have a bunch of injured guys. There's no continuity with this team at all because guys have been in and out.
People out. Yeah.
Right. So now we're going to see. They need the first round to work themselves into playoff shape, and that's really dangerous. I mean, that's really dangerous. And I said this to George John earlier. I think they need more than 4 games to do it.
Yeah. Oh, I think so. I
almost think they need a 6 or a 7-game series to get themselves ready for the second series. And that sounds stupid, but it's true.
And that's just it. Playoffs is all about hitting that extra gear at the right moment. The San Jose Sharks have won numerous President's Trophies as a top finishing team in the league, and they peter out in the playoffs every single time.
I think they're going out too. I picked the Kings.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because they choke. The
Kings have given up the fewest goals in the league.
And the Kings are a dangerous team that plays well every single time. I'm surprised they didn't make it to the finals last year as it was.
As far as the Bruins go, and kicking the Bruins around, I think the only team in the East – well, no, I don't think the only team in the East that can beat them because I just wonder about the Rangers. And the problem I have with the Rangers is we really haven't seen them that much in the second half of the season when they turned it on because the Penguins had all their games against them early in the year. Mm-hmm. They played the Rangers the first half of the year and they played the Flyers the second half of the year. But Montreal can beat Boston for a lot of reasons. But the main reason is just because it's a huge feud. Montreal can beat Boston. If Montreal can get past Tampa Bay, I think Montreal will beat Boston. But if not, I think the Bruins might coast. And I think my Bruins might coast to win the whole thing.
I was going to say, I have St. Louis over Boston for my final. But, I mean, I see Philadelphia beating the Rangers in 6 or 7. Phillies, they're a tough team. And the Rangers don't have that grit to match them, especially in the playoffs. Philadelphia's a dangerous team. We know this.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't think and the Rangers, like I said, the Rangers have played well. And people are going to throw a lot of eggs into Lundqvist's basket. But what exactly, where's his gold medals? What exactly has he done in the playoffs? Yeah. We're not exactly talking about a guy that's have they even been to the conference finals? No. Mm-mm. So, I mean, at least get that far.
Yeah. And before we go, we have another caller on the line, but I wanted to ask you what you thought of Bo Bennett, both of you guys, playing on the top line. That seems to be something that, if they can keep Bennett healthy.
This kid has got so much talent. I know. So much talent.
Just can't get him on the ice enough.
And that's the whole problem is we have this backlog of guys. And really this offseason, we need to look at anybody who is not producing or overly young, ship them off. Ship them off while you can. Get what you can for them. Build draft picks. Ray Shero is, I'm surprised that he wasn't trading his extra borscht for players during the Olympics. But, it's the things he does is he loves to trade away draft picks. So he's not looking for the future. He's looking for the right now. And so far, that right now hasn't led to more cups. So we need to start, righting that ship. And Ray Shero is the best general manager we've had since Craig Patrick in his heyday.
I think if they lose in the first round, he should be fired.
I don't think
he's done a very good job. He was spotted, Crosby, Malkin, and Fleury. Here's your start. Yeah. What general managers get that start?
Yeah.
He was spotted those three guys, and he drafted Jordan Staal, which I think was a terrific draft pick. But really, what has he done to fill out the roster? The bottom six forwards on this team are terrible. There's nobody there that you can say, okay, in a playoff type situation, this is the guy I want to go to war with. You talk about Bennett. Now Bennett has to play on the top two lines, frankly, because he doesn't give you anything if he plays on the bottom two lines. He doesn't. I'm afraid it's Eric Tangradi in sheep's clothing. Yeah. Show me something. Score a goal. Now, here's the thing. His touch is probably out the window because he's had like 4 wrist surgeries. How can a guy have any touch with that? Yeah. And the guy's constantly hurt. But he needs to play, and Sid seems to like to have him on his line. But I don't know that he's fast enough to keep up, frankly. And I'm wondering if this doesn't have bust written all over it too.
Well, the one thing I'll argue with that is to look at the defense. Our defenders coming up from Wilkes-Barre played better than a lot of the guys who went and replaced them when they came off the IR.
You're 100% right about that. But the problem with that is that a lot of the guys that have been here, they're the older guys, their season doesn't start till Wednesday.
True.
And frankly, I don't care how Rob Scuderi played the last 82 games. I really don't. And it's because he didn't play well, obviously. Yeah. And neither did Orpik. But Orpik's picked it up since the Olympics, frankly. Orpik's been fine. But people are going to throw Simone Dupre at me. Simone Dupre stinks. That guy's terrible. And no wonder you can't trust him. I've never seen anybody give the puck away with such alarming regularity as this guy. And they talk about, well, when he makes a mistake, he gets benched. Well, guess what? Be like Ole Mata. Don't make mistakes and you won't get benched. It's very simple. It's a results-based business. Yeah. So, we'll see. But here's the problem. The problem is that they're so reliant on the power play. And their power play is going to need to be really, really good in the playoffs. They didn't score 3 goals a game this year as a team. Only 3 teams did, by the way. 2 teams did before the lockout. Scoring's all the way back down again. We talked about this every time you come here. We talk about this. And the reason that their top guys still produced and they have good pluses. So, that's all well and good. The problem is those bottom 6 forwards gave them nothing this year, and you can't expect them to score, but the puck can't go in the net when they're out there. Look at some of the heavy minuses those guys are carrying around with. It's not been good.
I blame Bilesma for that, simply because, look, the guy has never won anything that was his team. I know we have to get on to a commercial break. But he came in with Terrian's team, took them to a cup. He was enough of a change to get them to a cup, and has done nothing since.
So did the general manager.
Well,
came in with the last guy. I'm not going to say he's a bad general manager because I don't think he is, but I think he needs to be looked at.
I'll agree with that.
There we go.
I'll agree with that. Let's get to some trivia.
What do you want to do, John?
If you have anything hockey, I'll take it. Otherwise, it's going to be multiple choice.
All right, let's do multiple choice. All right, here we go. This will be number 5 for those of you in the back. Who was the first player to lead the NCAA, the NBA, and the ABA in scoring? Those would be the National Basketball Association, the American Basketball Association. That was the red, white, and blue ball. And the NCAA in scoring. Was it Rick Barry, Julius Erving, George Gervin, or Oscar Robertson?
Wasn't Rick Barry involved when we traded Yager to the Capitals? I'm going to go with George Gervin.
You should have gone with Rick Barry.
Rick Barry! Yager!
Rick Barry, you did, but
that's all good.
Stuck with that.
We got to bail.
Okay, Mike.
Jay, thanks, Sean. Appreciate the hockey talk.
Great to be back.
It's nice to have you. We'll do it again sometime. Next time you can get back up here. Have a nice vacation. All right, let's take a break. We'll do that right now. We have another call waiting, and still room for you. 724-236-0430. We'll be right back.
Westmoreland Insurance Services isn't like your ordinary insurance agency. Not only can you get a variety of quotes from leading insurance companies, but you can purchase that protection through Westmoreland Insurance. Accidents happen. Are you prepared? You can be with a wide range of homeowners insurance options from Westmoreland Insurance Services, putting your family's safety in their family's hands for almost 40 years. Give them a call, 724-337-3557. My First Book on Sports is available not only through the internet, but at various local businesses in the AK Valley. It's Bob Tattern's Sports Minutes. Short sports stories, odd and unusual, fascinating and funny, only take about a minute to read. Go online to doubletripplebob.com, where links are provided for Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Word Association to get book information. Get your copy locally at Costello Printing in Tarentum, Blackburn's in Tarentum, Myrna's Brewery Outlet in New Kensington, or the Hot Dog Guys Lower Borough.
Husqvarna, taming the wild.
At Tower Auto Sales in Blawnox, you have the luxury of choice. For 40 years now, where you buy your vehicle is just as important as what you buy. Call Mike Fanto and let Tower Auto Sales experienced sales staff help you with the purchase of your next pre-owned vehicle. Remember the slogan at Tower, just buy it. That's Tower Auto Sales, Freeport Road in Blawnox. There you see their phone number, 412-828-6202.
All right, we have a caller on the line. We're going to go to that caller right now. Pirates in Cincinnati tonight. 3 against the Reds on the road, and then back home for 4 against Milwaukee starting on Thursday. Should be interesting to see the difference at the Brewers at Miller Park. But I think they're good, George. I really do. I think if they stay healthy, I think they're going to contend. A nice lineup. All right, to the lines we go. Good evening. You're next.
Good evening, gentlemen. This is Rich.
Hey,
Hi,
Rich. How are you?
Good. Hey, the Steelers picked up a wide receiver, Darius Haywood-Berry, right?
Yeah.
Right.
From the Colts?
From Oakland.
Oh, Oakland. Now, he's supposed to have a lot of speed.
He's so fast that Al Davis overrode all of his personnel people and drafted him high in the first round because he was so fast out of Maryland. He's really fast. That's about all you can say. I was going to say he has a lot of talent, but he drops a lot of passes.
Yeah.
So I think this is a guy that is basically what I would liken him to a non-roster invitee to spring training in baseball. That if he makes it, that's great. And if he doesn't, you really haven't cost yourself anything because they're not going to pay him all that much money. And they need bodies at wide receivers because they've lost a couple. But he's not making a whole lot of money, and they're going to give it a shot. He was in Indy last year, but he had a really decent year 2 years ago. His last year in Oakland. Yeah. Caught a lot of passes there. Last year, not so much, and the Colts really didn't want him back. So,
he's got a lot of talent, but he just can't hang on to the football.
But that's a guy there. I guess they hope can stretch the field a little bit, take over a little bit of what they lost with Wallace. They never really did get that back. They didn't have a burner. They're talking about size and everything, and they're looking at some of these big wide receivers in the first round, which I think is a good idea. But I don't care. Hines Ward wasn't exactly a monster, and he scored touchdowns. Yeah. And then that's what they brought Lance Moore in from the Saints. Yeah. Lance Moore's not very big, but Lance Moore gets in the end zone. Yeah. That's really what you're looking for.
Now, they got Marcus Wheaton, too, now. He has a chance here to shine this year.
Yeah, that's a guy nobody's talking about for the most part.
Marcus Wheaton, Bo Bennett. Stay on the field. That's right? Yep. Broken fingers or whatever his deal was. Bennett's wrists, this guy's fingers. It's like we need to get these guys out there so we can actually see them play for an extended period of time. But they like him.
Yeah.
Brian Clark had glowing things to say about him after training camp. Mm-hmm. So, but you got to keep him on the field. He was a good college player. But I think you're going to take those guys plus the Lance Moore that they picked up, Antonio Brown, and I really think that they want to pick they were looking at these big, strong wide receivers, Mike Evans, no, not Lionel from the Jeffersons, but Mike Evans from Texas A&M that Johnny Football threw the ball to. Now Odell Beckham from LSU start to come up in the conversation. So they're either going to go wide receiver or corner, I think, in the first round. I think those are their two positions that they really haven't addressed. And And here's something, too. They've really been busy this offseason.
They sure have.
Free agency, which is very unusual for them. They're finally got to the point where they're admitting that their drafts haven't been that good, that these guys haven't been able to fill the spots.
A couple of 8s and 8s will do that for you.
Yeah, it kind of does. It's like, well, here's what I'm hoping, is that if that's as bad as it gets, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
We'll take those 8s and 8s.
There's probably no chance for Plexico to make it this year, huh?
Probably not. I can't. The only scenario I could imagine, Rich, is for a lot of injuries to occur during training camp, and he might need somebody to plug in there. I think the guy they're really going to miss is Jericho Kocheri, who I think was underrated last year. He did a nice job, and now he's gone.
And I'll tell you another position I think that they really need to address, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do it this year or not, and John's jersey brings it up for me with his Heath Miller jersey. They need some help at tight end. And you can have all your, I almost said Jordan Spieth. You can tell I was watching the Masters. Matt Spaeth. Jordan Spieth is greater than Matt Spaeth. They need some help there. You don't necessarily need to be a big wide receiver. What if you have a tight end that plays maybe a hybrid spot that can go out there and catch the ball for you? Those are things. This Michael Palmer, they seem to like a little bit. They brought him back, and he kind of passed some guys over like David Johnson, who they let go. But he's not going to be around forever. And he's on that next group of guys that it's coming to the end. They've got a lot of mileage out of a guy like that, and he's been a great player for them.
They sure have.
They've done, I think, a really good job of addressing the running back situation with LeGarrette Blount. I think they have a chance to be, can that offensive line just gel a little bit's the key. That's the key.
I see Jonathan Dreyer got picked up by the Cardinals for $795,000.
Yeah, is that what it was? I have him on my list. Yeah, here he is. He's another one, another fourth-year guy. And the other thing I noticed is that a lot of the guys that they've picked up are younger than some of the guys that they've let go. So they're trying to young that roster up a little bit. It's funny with Dwyer. They really had it with him, and they sent him away. They cut him, and he came back, and I thought he was probably their best back last year. I really do.
I think, he kind of came into his own, but again, there's another guy can't stay on the field.
Well, and he's had his issues, too, with getting into shape and everything, and I think the coaching staff finally just had enough. And now here's one, guys. They don't have a punter. There's one punter on the roster, and that's Brad Wing. Anybody?
Is he from LSU?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I see. He was probably one of the better punters out there, wasn't he, for college this year?
And it's interesting. They jumped on him right away after the season ended. And I think he's left-footed. Rich, do you remember?
Not sure.
He might be. And I know they love their left-footed punters like Belichick does.
Yeah.
He loves the left-footed punters because they swear it's harder to catch the ball coming off their foot, and they think they have an advantage by this. But if you guys remember this guy in college, Les Miles did one of his wacky trick plays, and he caught a touchdown pass out of punt formation. And the touchdown was reversed because he went crazy and celebrated before he got in the end zone. He's a loose cannon, this guy. And when I saw his name on the roster, I was shocked. I said, he just doesn't seem like the Steeler type of guy.
Yeah.
But I wonder, here you are to this point, and he's the only punter on the roster. I guess this is their punter now.
It looks like it.
Well, they'll probably get somebody else like a free agent up there to compete with him.
Yeah, after they fill everything out after the draft, you grab a guy. I certainly hope they don't draft anyone.
Okay, guys, I think I'm ready for trivia.
All right.
Multiple choice?
Multiple?
Yes.
Okay, good, George.
All right, here we go. This has to do with NCAA basketball, Rich. Name for us the only state that had two teams play each other for an NCAA basketball championship. The only time two teams from the same state played for the NCAA title. Your choices are Ohio, Florida, California, or North Carolina.
I'm going to say Ohio.
And you are absolutely correct, Rich.
Okay.
1961 and 1962, Cincinnati played Ohio State. Two schools that are, an hour and a half apart maybe?
Now you're talking, Oscar Robertson with Cincinnati, and then you had Bob Knight, Jerry Lucas.
Jerry Lucas was a great player for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, those are some heavyweight matchups. Yeah. Hey, Rich,
congratulations.
That's two for your last two, by the way.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks for calling.
All right, bye.
From you.
Rich is one of our longest time callers.
Yeah, absolutely.
He goes back all the way to Constitution Boulevard.
Yeah.
So we talked about the Steelers, George, and I had the list here, and there are some guys that are still out. And we get a quick thumbs up or thumbs down on these guys. First of all, Velasco, what do you think there? I think they're waiting for him to see if he's healthy or not.
Yeah.
But I thought he did a great job.
I thought he did too. Yeah.
I mean, and you wonder because there's talk about Pouncey, and I just think there's a lot of question marks about giving a guy like that an extension.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned there about more things than football.
Right.
Okay, Levi Brown's also on the list. That's
that's been kind of a disappointment.
He's out. Larod Stevens-Howling, I don't know if that worked out very well.
He got hurt the first game, so it's hard to tell. But boy, they liked his speed, and I've always liked what he brought to the table.
I liked him at Pitt. He was really good at bringing back kicks.
And that's somebody we need too.
Plexico, of course, says he wants to come back. But I don't think so. Brett Kiesel is the other one that I still think that after the Woodley contract goes into effect, which isn't until after June the 1st, and they get all that cap space, I think Kiesel comes back.
Right, he might come back because he had a nice year last year.
Larry Foote still wants to play, but they obviously don't want him back. And Stevenson Sylvester's another guy. I think he's still out there as a special teams guy, maybe, but
just never.
And the last guy on the list is Matt McBriar, but I guess not. It looks like this could be the Brad Wing era about to get going. So those are the guys that are in limbo, and everybody else has kind of been taken care of on the list, and they have signed 3, 6, 7 free agents this offseason, which is just unbelievable.
That's not Steeler-like.
No, not at all. All right, we're going to take a break. Do that right now. Again, we have room for you, 724-236-0430. Paul is here. Paul's going to be next to join in the conversation, my favorite thing. So let's take our last time out of the night, and we'll be back right after this.
Welcome to Buffalo Bill's Roadhouse, the place for big appetites. Their great sandwich selection includes the Geronimo, piled high with generous portions of meat and fixings. Their barbecue ribs are the best in town. Half rack or full rack, they don't come better. Buffalo Bill's wings are everybody's favorite. Uniquely oven-baked, not deep-fried, and yet so crispy. Your choice of 13 flavored seasonings. Grab a bucket for the big game. Eat in or take out, credit cards accepted. Buffalo Bill's Roadhouse, Freeport Road, New Kensington, across from Felderelli Square.
For over 38 years and 3 generations, Arnold Furniture has been the area's favorite furniture store. We have over 4 floors of living rooms, dining rooms, recliners, bedding, carpeting, and so much more.
You'll always find friendly personal service from one of the family.
And our prices consistently beat the competition, plus free local delivery and free setup guaranteed. Visit Arnold Furniture online at arnoldfurnitureinc.com or stop in and see us today.
AKLC Studios LLC is the place for your video and multimedia needs. Let AKLC Studios produce a unique television commercial for your business. At your location or in our studios, we're here to meet your needs. Ever want your own television show? Let us show you how. AKLC Studios LLC can even tape your special events and weddings. Whatever your multimedia need, call AKLC Studios LLC in Leechburg today. Professional quality at hometown prices. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Our Sportsline Mystery Profile every week is sponsored by Matteo's Pizza and Subs in Brackenridge. Everything on Matteo's menu is made with quality ingredients, and that could be the reason people proudly pass on the word about their great food. Hand-tossed pizzas, gyros, subs, hoagies, calzones, wingdings, and more. And, of course, the signature Iron Man hoagie, which made a special guest appearance here on the show last week, right here on the table. And I think there's still remnants from it there. I don't know. But it takes more than one person to finish that thing, believe me. Matteo's, located at 1000 Broadview Boulevard in Brackenridge Heights. You can give them a call right now, 724-904-7312. I think that would be a good deal for Saturday night. The Penguins' game 2 of their playoff against Columbus will be Saturday, night before Easter. You really don't want to do any cooking, all that kind of stuff. And I think Matteo's would probably be your best bet there to load up for some... have a viewing party. When did they start calling it a viewing party? Does anybody know? That's so stupid. I hate that. It's like you call somebody on the phone and say, "Hey, do you want to watch the game?" You know.
Or
now it's a viewing party. So it's Bill says watching a funeral exactly.
Or unless you want to watch the show The View on ABC.
Paul, exactly. There's Paul, by the way. Good evening, Paul. I always had this idea that I think they should have drive-through funeral homes since we've kind of gone through a really fast-paced society right now that you could just drive up alongside, pay your respects, and drive on.
I'll talk to Mr. Duster about that.
Why don't we get on? Can we get? That's right, your boss. I forgot about that. We could get on that as soon as possible. I think it's an idea, and I would like intellectual property rights on that.
Yes.
Okay, Paul, what do we have tonight?
I filled out my NHL brackets as CBC was the first one to call it bracketology back in the 60s.
Thanks.
And just like I said, the Sixers would upset the Spurs in their own backyard when they lost 23 in a row. I am calling for a Blue Jackets series victory.
Okay, you go ahead and call for it. Hopefully nobody's listening.
Because the Blue Jackets and I predict the Blackhawks will be noisemakers in the
I have that
first
one.
round.
I have that one. I have Chicago beating the Blues because I have a terrible Ryan Miller bias.
Right.
And the best, I said that I even had a thing for the Olympics. It was hashtag Ryan Miller backwards ball cap. That as long as Ryan Miller had a backwards ball cap on, the U.S. had a chance to do something. If he didn't get in the game, I was pretty happy about that.
Because I wouldn't see the Blues win the Cup, so Dan Kelly up in heaven.
I'd love to see the Blues win. I've always been a Blue fan. That's a great franchise and a great fan base. Those people have always supported that team.
Yes.
And that is I'd love to see them win. And Ken Hitchcock is kind of did you ever notice that Ken Hitchcock looks like Paul Bearer?
But speaking of the Blues, 33 years ago, my favorite Penguin game of all time, Dancing Greg Millen and the Pens lost in double overtime.
If by favorite you mean like it was a root canal, yeah, I liked it too.
No. And the game went, I believe it was till like 10
Second
after,
overtime, and it was late.
It was like 10 after 1.
Yeah, it was late.
Because the game started like 9 o'clock.
Greg Millen played goal for the Pens that
and he
night.
danced during the...
and the Blues were good. The Blues were the 2 seed, the second best record in the league.
That's when they seeded them 1 through 16.
1 through 16. Red Berenson was the coach, who was a great player and went on and is still the coach at Michigan and has been for 100 years. Red Berenson was the coach there. Michael Ute was the goaltender.
And he hated red, and
I
remember
the
Terry
Penguins brought out
Schiffauer.
red. Yeah, the Penguins brought out red, and it worked. They won the third. It was a very similar series to what the Pirates just had with the Cardinals because the Penguins won the third game and had a chance to win it and weren't able to pull it off, and then the game went overtime. And Greg Millen parlayed that into some nice money. He became a free agent right after that. That was his walk year.
With his dancing skills.
With his dancing in the nets to try to make everybody think he wasn't tired.
During the what was the name of the song? The Budweiser.
The Budweiser song. They kept playing the Budweiser song over and over again in that game. It was one of the early on Penguin history for me, anyway. And we talked about another one earlier here before we went on the air. The playoff game against the Blackhawks in 1972 when the Pens weren't able to win that one either, and they lost that 12 seconds into the overtime and lost the series there.
And then one of the first Penguin playoff was 79 when Ferguson scored back when it was 2 out of 3 the first round.
Against Buffalo, Bob Sauvé. And then they went on to play the Bruins in the next round and got swept out. And that was a series where they hung Don Cherry's dog Blue in effigy from the E-balcony.
I did not know
People had it on a stick, and they had, and just to irritate Cherry, and it irritated him, that they had that dog hanging from that balcony up there. And those were great days. The Penguins didn't win much, but it was a lot of fun down there.
I looked this up. 4 seasons in a row, the 79 to 82, when they lost to the Islanders in Game 5. All 4 years in a row, they had 13 ties.
Great. They were just good enough to push some really good teams to the edge, but just not good enough to get over the edge.
And then after that 82 season, they only won like 10 games a year.
It was in the tank. I blame.
Yeah, nobody wanted to play here. And,
Mitch Lamoureux and guys like that.
Right,
it was there.
so.
All right, Paul, let's do trivia quickly.
I'm ineligible because I won last week.
You were ineligible. You won last week. You are correct.
Yes.
So that'll take care of that. We had a winner tonight. Rich Jaskey won. John did not, unfortunately. Came all the way from Virginia, and we couldn't even get him a prize. I'm so disappointed there. So, Paul, thank you again.
All right. Good
appreciate
show.
it.
Thanks
Good talking a lot. Good talking a lot of hockey with you guys tonight. That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
I appreciate that. George, of course, thanks to him for being here. George had a meeting to go cover, so he had to bail out just a little bit early to go get that taken care of for the newspaper. A lot of stuff going on here, school boards and whatnot here at the end of the school year. A lot of shuffling of papers that happens with that. So, all right, Bubba Watson won the Masters, and how did he celebrate? He went to Waffle House. I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah, tweeted a picture of himself at Waffle House. So Jordan Spieth, I think there's some good things coming. So hopefully he'll be able to parlay that into the future. All right, so we have Buccos this week. I hope everyone has a happy Easter out there. Have a safe weekend. I know a lot of folks will be in from out of town for that, so please be careful out there and have a good time with that. And hope you don't eat too much this week. Thanks to everybody for being here. Thanks to Josh and Bill in the back. Appreciate your help tonight. Thanks to Paul. Thanks to John for showing up tonight. So let's wrap it up. For George Guido, this is Mike Pavlik. Thank you for watching. So long, everybody.
Thank you for watching Sportsline, brought to you by Ace Hardware, New Kensington, AKLC Studios in Leechburg, Arnold Furniture, 5th Avenue, Buffalo Bills, New Kensington, Fazio's Deli and Meats in Arnold, Highland Tire, Toronto and Natrona Heights, Mattio's Pizza and Subs, Brackenridge Heights, Resevich Family Funeral Homes, Lower Burl in Arnold, 380 Discount Warehouse, Murraysville, Tower Auto in Blawnox, and Westmoreland Insurance Services of New Kensington.